Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Ghosts of England. Today we check out 14 real ghost reports from the county of Yorkshire. Hope you enjoy. Number 1. Earth-shaking sounds. I'll be starting this episode off with an unusual report dating back to the mid-18th century in Appletreewick. Low Hall would be frequented by low unearthly groans coming from deep underground. The supernatural sound would vibrate the entire building so bad that it would cause ornaments to fall to the floor. With nowhere to turn to, an exorcist was called in to deal with the phenomenon and to perform an exorcism on the property. This appears to have worked as the earth-shaking sound stopped shortly after. Number 2. Sister Hilda. This report dates back to the 12th century, so it's probably one of the oldest in the series. For a 7-year period, a nun haunted the area of Orpington, flying around hastily approaching people and proclaiming to them that the friar had murdered her. Eventually the abbess had had enough of the entity, and called for all of the local nuns and archbishop to come in order to exorcise the spirit. Though the report doesn't go on to say if the friar was actually investigated for the claims of the nun. So if anyone actually knows any more about this report, please feel free to comment below because it'd be interesting to find out. Number 3. Adelphi Theatre. Well, the Adelphi Theatre is not short of a ghost or two. Though now a nightclub, many a disturbing occurrence has reminded people of the building's former life. In the old projection room, many people have seen a projectionist hard at work, while visitors that have gone to the toilet have felt invisible hands hitting them. A member of the Sheffield Paranormal Society came to the building to find that the building was full of cold spots and areas with heavy atmosphere. The team member says that even though there was no wind source, a curtain could be seen visibly twitching. It is also believed that 2 security guards to the site had witnessed something so terrifying that they quit their jobs and never came back. Number 4. St. Crooks Church. The now crumbled remains of St. Crooks Church in York was once home to many ghostly visitations and sightings. Many people during the early 20th century had reported seeing a tall man, who would be seen staring out of the windows, giving many passers-by an uncomfortable feeling. And perhaps a very disturbing report comes from an on-duty police officer. As he was passing the building late at night, he could hear funeral music being played from within. As he came closer to investigate, the church doors flung wide open, and the sounds of a large gathering of people could be heard, but nothing could be seen, even as the sounds of the activity got closer to the police officer. Number 5. The Viking at St. Saviour's Church. St. Saviour's Church in York is the supposed haunting ground of the spirit of a Viking that is believed to have been executed on the grounds of the church. So many reports came in of the Viking that a ghost hunter dared to stay the night to find proof of his existence. Though the story ends in tragedy, as allegedly it would prove to be fatal for the ghost hunter, as the following morning he was found dead on the top of a high beam by the vicar. It is said that he died of fright. Number 6. Victorian Man. In 1969, a witness reports that in the museum gardens of the Tempest Anderson Hall, they watched a man in Victorian clothing on a stage reaching to take a book. At first, nothing really seemed odd. That was until the man in the Victorian outfit turned around. It was then that the witness noticed that the Victorian man had a completely featureless face. And like all sensible people would do in that situation, he ran away in panic. I would. Number 7. Roman Baker. A female witness states that back in 1979, she approached the toy shop that used to be within the Roman Gate in York to admire a teddy bear. It was then that she says that she went into an almost dreamlike state. Suddenly she was a large man covered in flour, standing within the shop looking out onto the street, watching as Roman soldiers walked past. Now, could this be simply the work of an overactive imagination? Or is there just simply something more otherworldly about this report? Your opinions are welcome below. Number 8. The Cupboard Dweller. The Grimston Lodge on the road from City to Hull has probably one of the oddest reports I've ever read. Many witnesses have been startled by a spirit that likes to hide within cupboards, with which the spirit will rattle and bang the cupboard doors until someone opens the doors to investigate. Only then will the noise stop. But damn, You just know for a fact that one day someone is going to jump out at you and scare the hell out of you. And I would probably scream. Number 9. Grey Nun. Well, if you're the kind of gentleman that enjoys the spirit of a nun jumping out at you when you go for a pee, then you definitely want to make a visit to the York Arms in York, as they apparently have what you need, as a few slightly scared and confused visitors have reported seeing this phantom on separate occasions. The story behind the nun is that in the days leading up to her untimely death, she was bricked up alive for the sins that she committed. Exactly what she did is unknown from this report. Perhaps her sins was jumping out at men in bathrooms. Though on a serious note, I don't want the spirit of a nun doing that to me. Or at the very least, if she could wait till I finished, that would be good. I don't want to pee on my feet. Number 10. Fred the Flusher. The Hypnotist Public House in Wyke has its own unique phantom residence. The reports start off as simple as toilets flushing by their own accord, which I guess isn't that terrifying, but when people have come across a spirit of a man known as Fred, who by description is a middle-aged man that is dripping wet, things start to get a little scarier. Fred is believed to be a former engineer that worked at a nearby dam, who met an untimely end in an accident where he drowned. Number 11. Young Girl. Well, if you're already afraid of using changing rooms in shops, this next report won't help you. Jack Wills on Stonegate in York has a report from a teenage girl using the changing room. As she looked into the mirror within the room, she saw in the reflection another girl stood behind her. To begin with, the teenager thought it was a simple mistake. She turned around to ask the girl to leave, to then witness the girl walk straight through a solid wall. After reporting the incident to a staff member, an investigation was later done on the room. It was found that a doorway once existed within the wall where the phantom girl had passed through. So have fun the next time you go into a shop changing room. And don't forget to look behind you. Number 12. Headless Woman. Since the 18th century, the area of Bishopthorpe has had many reports of a headless woman roaming the streets and local areas. In life, she was believed to be a wealthy local woman that was killed for her money. Her body was hidden a short distance from her home. By the time her body was found, it was in such a state of decay that the head was completely detached from the body. Very lovely. Oof. Number 13. Child's Hand. This next report definitely hits an emotional chord. By the Beadon Arch in York, passers-by have reported feeling a small childlike hand take them by their own and walk with them for a short while. Often with this, childlike giggling can be heard. Unfortunately, that is the sweeter side of this report. The darker side is that other people have heard the desperate screams and cries of children. The story goes that back in the 1800s, several orphans died at a nearby school due to a negligent headmaster. And finally for this episode, number 14. Clash of Armies. A rather simple yet fascinating report dating back to 1958. Around the area of Church Street and Davygate in York, two women out walking claimed to have seen the ghostly reenactment of two armies in the heat of battle. Barbarians were clashing swords with Roman soldiers. Not something you see every day. The occurrence soon ended as a passing van seemed to have brought them back to reality, and both armies had vanished in the blink of an eye. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. I'd also like to add, if you have any ghost reports that you'd want to see in a future episode, put it below and I'll see what I can do. Right, thank you very much. Take care.